Hey guys, this is Tauna, and today we're going to be talking about the history and de-evolution of bonus sheets. And this is going to be more like a video essay. It's going to be a longer video, so let me know if you do like this kind of video. I'm happy to do more of them. And we're going to be talking about the history of bonus sheets in Magic the Gathering, talking about their recent degradation, including Spider-Man and Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then also talking about, a whole bunch of different stuff to do with Universes Beyond and the bonus sheets and everything. Now, keep in mind, this is not an anti-Universes Beyond video. Universes Beyond will play a part in the feedback and a part of this video. However, I do not believe that Universes Beyond is the root cause of this issue. I think that there is bigger issues here that are not just, the fact that these are Universes Beyond sets or, bonus sheets from Universes Beyond. So let's get into it. Before we do, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you share the video and all that kind of stuff. And as I said, let me know if you do like these kind of longer video essay kind of videos. So first of all, what is a bonus sheet? A bonus sheet is a supplementary set that is released alongside a normal typical set. It's going to be found within those normal boosters for the main set and features cards that are typically reprinted that are not a part of that set. They will be, typically reprinted and not legal in whatever format that booster is from, typically standard. So they won't be legal in standard. However, you'll be able to get them within, your standard kind of boosters. Usually they'll have like a kind of aim towards them, like a thematic that matches that set. So like, an artifact based reprint showing up in an artifact based set kind of thing. There is a couple things that are not bonus sheets, and this is bonus sheets are kind of like a specific term for Wizards. They're not going to include masterpiece sheets, which are kind of like bonus sheets, but they were very rare, only found like, in Kaladesh, 1 in 144 boosters. There's the booster inserts, for example, the Transformers and Jurassic World ones, which were not classed as a bonus sheet. They were just random booster inserts that were showing up there. And then there's also the list and special guests, which are kind of like a bonus sheet, but not. These things are similar to bonus sheets, but when you talk about a bonus sheet, it is, according to Wizards, a very kind of specific thing that they're talking about there. And the things that I'm going to talk about here are ones that they have referred to as bonus sheets, except for one, which I'll get into later. So we're going to go through a number of different eras here. The first one here is the experimentation era. This is when they were first kind of, looking at bonus sheets and what they could potentially do with them and everything. These are very kind of old, like an alpha era almost. And this is going to go around Time Spiral. So this is like the first experiment that they did with a bonus sheet. There was one in each booster guaranteed, and it was a 121 card subset. However, they were legal in all formats that Time Spiral was, so standard. Whatever standard was called back then. They contained entirely cards that were from pre-Mirrodin, and it was tied to the set's theme of revisiting the past, going back into the past and everything. So some notable cards here were like, Darkness, Undead at War Chief, Coalition Victory. Nothing that nowadays is super duper expensive, but it was just kind of like going back and looking at what it was in the past and, the magic cards of the past and everything. I will say that, again, the thing that you need to pay attention to most here is how many is in each booster. And this was one in each booster guaranteed. After that, we had Time Spiral Remastered, which is in the same vein as the Time Spiral ones, right? This featured a 121 card reprinted in a retro pre-modern card frame, and it was again one per booster guaranteed. This time, instead of it being like, cards that they were from the past and they were kind of, reprinting them, this time it was time shifted backwards. So they were kind of newer cards that were then reprinted into an old retro frame for people. So, we've got like the Chalice of the Void, Yawgmoth, Thran, Physician, and then Thoughtseize. And then, we had a whole bunch in similar, using this retro frame from there on because, people really loved it. So now we've got the Golden Age. So this is like our next kind of age of bonus sheets. And I think that this was honestly where bonus sheets were absolutely amazing. And there were really good bonus sheets, some really great reprints, flavorful art that kind of matched it as well. And, that flavorful art was not just the art, it was also like the border and everything too. So the first one here is the Strixhaven Mystical Archive. So this is kind of getting into the modern day bonus sheets, or I say modern day, but it was 2021, which doesn't feel that long ago, but anyway. So this was the first kind of modern bonus sheet. This was a reprint of 63 of the most famous instants and sorceries. They changed to a different set, so instead of it being like, the main Strixhaven set, it was a separate set with the STA set code, as opposed to being just a part of that main set like the Time Spiral one was. And this is also where they made it so the cards were only legal in formats that they were already legal in. So you get a Time Warp here, and if it's not legal in Standard at the time that you're opening the, Strixhaven boosters, then you can't use it in Standard. It's just legal in whatever format it was already legal in, except for the exception, like, is limited. Like if you're playing like a pre-release or a draft or something with these, then you open one, you are able to use that. So it was guaranteed in one in each set and draft booster, and at least 3 in each collector booster. And they had absolutely amazing art. There was also the Strixhaven Mystical Archive, the anime-esque kind of arts here as well, the Japanese anime-esque arts. And these were all unified under like a scholarly border, and it was meant to depict like the first time this spell had been cast. So, the first time someone had used a time warp being showed off here as well. And they could show up as foil etched within the collector boosters. So here was some of the most notable ones here. The Demonic Tutor, you got Teferi's Protection. This one here was the Dark Ritual, but notably the anime art. People absolutely love it, and it looks amazing, right? And there's, some from all kind of tiers of play. There's uncommons up to, the mythic rare ones here. We then went into the retro artifacts with Brothers War. So this was, again, 1 in each set and draft booster. There was 3 in each collector booster. Again, only legal in formats they were already legal in. There was 63 reprinted artifacts this time around from the past, with 3 different printings. There was the retro frame only. Then there was the retro frame with the new schematic art, as you can see here with the adaptive automaton, like, how you'd see a schematic, etc. And then there was also a one with rainbow foiling that was also serialized out of 500. So those were really, really collector only, like collector booster only, and, collection. Like everyone wanted them because they just looked really cool. They had that special art, this special rainbow foiling, and being serialized, they were also pretty rare. So you had some really great ones here. You got like, Mox Amber got reprinted as Mesmeric Orb, as well as a Aether Flux Reservoir. Some really great cards getting reprinted here onto this bonus sheet with some amazing art as well. And it's very like, the whole thing with the retro borders was meant to show like there was going into the past, because that was what Brothers War was. We're looking into the past with, the war between Mishra and Urza and stuff. After that, we had the Multiverse Legends. So this was a bonus sheet of 65 iconic characters. Now, this time around, they showed up in their home planes booster fun borders. However, I've shown one off here that is not in their home plane. It was a Traxa. It's in the border from New Capenna, because of the fact that she went, invaded New Capenna and everything. So they're meant to show up in like, their original kind of planes, booster fun, and notably with new art. They're also meant to show characters that were alive and could be fighting the Phyrexians at that time, or on the side of the Phyrexians, they were Phyrexians that were fighting. There was 1 in each draft or set booster, at least 3 in each collector booster, and they could appear as special Halo foil, etched foil, or serialized versions of some of them. I don't think all of them could be serialized, but some of them could be serialized. And again, only legal in whatever formats they're already legal within. So this one here had some absolutely banger reprints as well. You got all of the Praetors got reprinted here. And then you got stuff like Ragavan got reprinted. Some really great art and really great, like, reprints as well, especially if you are a commander-focused person, because of the fact that most of the reprints here, actually maybe all of them, were all legendary creatures as well. So, you've got these key characters coming back and, like, coming for the War of Phyrexia, and being able to kind of show up here. And I really love this. I think this was honestly one of my favorite bonus sheets, especially because there's just such a wide variety of the different borders that all really suited those characters as well. Like Ragavan got reprinted with the Kaladesh border, and because he's, on Kaladesh there and stuff. It's just really, really cool. I love it. Now, we also had Enchanting Tales, which was a great one. So this one here was a bonus sheet of 63 iconic enchantments, because of the fact that it was all around, the storybook style art and the storybook themes of Wilds of Eldraine. They got reprinted in this like cool storybook art. There was also 20 that were printed as anime borderless treatments, and then in each booster set and draft booster you would get one, as well as then 3 within each collector booster, with a chance of a special confetti foil version of them. And again, only legal within the original areas that they were legal in prior to this reprinting. So showing off some of the notable ones here, you got like, Doubling Season, Parallel Lives. These are the anime ones because they were the most notable because everyone kind of wanted them. I actually have one of these Smothering Tides and it's one of my most prized possessions in my decks. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. But there's some really insanely great enchantments that suited the set really well because of this whole storybook thematic and everything. All right, next one here, we go into the Muddy era. Now, these ones here are ones that have a bonus sheet, but then they had another bonus sheet put on top of them. So the second bonus sheet here was kind of the one that starts muddying that kind of, bonus sheet definition because they start potentially redefining what a bonus sheet is, talking about it a little bit, and then they actually call them bonus sheets, despite the fact that they don't exactly match that kind of thing. They start experimenting a bit and kind of, moving away from that formula that we had from that golden era that we just talked about. So first up, we had the breaking news one in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which is the first of the two bonus sheets. So this one here featured 65 reprinted cards that committed crimes, not one particular card type. So, you had instant sorceries. I don't think there was any creatures, but there was enchantments, there was artifacts. And then there was one in each play booster and then 3 in each collector booster. Again, kind of matching what we've seen previously. 15 of them had an anime feat textured foil, but it wasn't super anime. It was like, that one there. And this was, as I said, a very traditional bonus sheet. This one here is not the one that starts muddying it. They're legal in all the formats they're already legal in, and they're stylized after newspaper articles about crimes. So, showing some here. We've got Thoughtseize reprinted again, Mana Drain, Reanimate, Mind Break, Trap. Some great kind of crimes. They had to specifically do crimes, which was the theme of that set, which was targeting a player, their stuff, basically. So yeah, this is basically committing a crime and showing off as this crime thing. This one here, though, was the one that starts kind of muddying it a little bit when they added on top of that the bonus sheet onto the other bonus sheet. So originally this was meant to be another mini set, kind of like Aftermath was. However, they decided to put it within the Thunder Junction boosters, cut it down to only 30 cards with a mix of new cards and reprints. However, this time around, they also are legal within Standard. These ones here on this big score, big score booster. Wow, I'm forgetting the word because I said it so much. Bonus sheet are legal within Standard. So, this is interesting as well because it's only 1 in 5 play boosters as opposed to guaranteed like every other one was. And it was also, I don't believe it was guaranteed in each collector booster. Notably, as I said, these are Standard legal, which is quite different. Now, I know what you're thinking, they didn't call it a bonus sheet, but they actually did straight up call it a bonus sheet. I did find, that proof that they called it a bonus sheet, which is what I think is important, them kind of starting to muddy this kind of bonus sheet definition here. So some notable ones: Loot the Key to Everything. We've got the Vault-Born Tyrant, which is amazing. Simulacrum Synthesizer, which is insanely great for Commander, and it was used quite a bit in Standard, I believe, as well. There was some kind of Standard deck built around it. And then there was Sword of Wealth and Power over here as well. So there was 2 different arts for them. There was this art here, which is like the full borderless version, and then a normal art for them as well. But the notable thing here is that they started just kind of muddying up that bonus sheet definition, which we'll get into as well with the Modern Horizons 3. This again had 2 different bonus sheets. One of them was reprints coming to Modern for the first time. These were 1 in each play booster with a chance of up to 3, I believe it is, and then 9-ish slots within the collector booster that could contain one of these. And this was a selection of cards from a bunch of different sets, including some Commander decks from the past, that they could bring together and make them new to Modern, introduce them into Modern for the first time. And there was 42 different ones. As I said, the guaranteed 1 in at least each play booster. And there was some notable ones here, like, Phyrexian Tower, the Mendelian Cycle, Sylvan Safekeeper, and the Urza's Incubator. But then on top of that, they added another bonus sheet. This one here, they decided to make a collector booster exclusive bonus sheet with 4 slots potentially within it that could contain these. These were 16 reprints from the past, from Modern Horizons 1 and 2, that were going to be kind of reprinted with this retro frame here, which you can see with Esper Sentinel. So, some notable ones here. You got Ragavan, you got Solitude, you've got Endurance and Esper Sentinel, all kind of reprinted from Modern Horizons 1 and 2 into, the collector boosters only. And it wasn't guaranteed to be in a collector booster. It was just, there was 4 slots that you could potentially get one of them in. Now, the last one here is the Imagine Courageous Critters. So, technically, this is the one that I don't think they've ever labeled as a bonus sheet, but it is pretty clearly, in my opinion, a bonus sheet by their original definition of it. These were 20 different cards that were reprinted as basically, imagine if this Magic the Gathering character went to Bloomburrow. 4 of them had alternate anime art, and these were exclusive to collector boosters, which was a huge disappointment at the time because they're absolutely amazing cards. You do get 1 in each pack, and then there was 4 extras that were found within the commander decks, so bringing up to 24 in total. Notably, the cards were chosen that won't contradict their type line. There's one thing that people complain about as well, is that, they'll reprint, say, SpongeBob and he's a human wizard, right? That's what they did not do here. They notably made it so they did not contradict their type line. So if you have a look, like, for example, Chatterfang getting reprinted here, he's still a squirrel. He's a squirrel that is still a squirrel, etc. Birds of Paradise. You've got Jace the Mind Sculptor, Liliana of the Dark Realms here. So these were all kind of reprinted here, and it was only collector booster exclusive. But given the fact that they, called these ones a bonus sheet, these ones here are, in my opinion at least, a bonus sheet as well. It's just not clearly defined by them themselves. Only exception to the rule that I made that they have not called it a bonus sheet. Now, next one here, we got the Beyond Shitty era. Now, I'm calling it Beyond Shitty era because it is beyond shitty, essentially, what they're doing with the bonus sheets, in my opinion. Notably, again, I am not shitting on Universes Beyond. I do not think that Universes Beyond is the issue here. I think it is Wizards of the Coast. Universes Beyond having bonus sheets is perfectly fine, and there is no issues with that. And I even like the art of them. I'll talk about that more later on and stuff. But the first one here is the Through the Ages one for Final Fantasy. So this is the next era of bonus sheets. They're no longer guaranteed in each play booster. This one here is a bonus sheet that's only going to appear in 1 in 3 play boosters, guaranteed 1 in each collector booster. Again, only legal in formats they were already legal in. Through the Ages featured reprints from Magic's history. However, they were reprinted as essentially reskinned versions of cards from Final Fantasy. So they featured art from the games and the concept art. Also, it contained cards that were from uncommons, right? So there's uncommons that were reprinted here into mythics, which I'll talk about why that's important in a second. But you can see here, like this Hero of the Light is Adeline Resplendent Cathar getting reprinted. They call it like the Godzilla treatment originally, but now I think they just call it reskins. So notable cards here are Stay With Me, the Rhystic Study. We've got the Ancient Copper Dragon here, the Dragon of Mount Gulg, Blessing of the Oracle as a Chroma's Will, and then the Sephiroth, the Savior. All really, really great reprints to see here. All really great kind of chase pieces. Now, why is that uncommon thing here important? Because of this. Someone asked, hey Mark, I had a question regarding bonus sheets in play boosters lately, and it had me worried about the upcoming set I'm looking forward to. I'm a huge fan of the Strixhaven Mystical Archive set and collect them and love the bonus sheets from Brothers War, War of Eternity, etc. But I'm worried that in recency sets, basically they're not guaranteed, right? Are bonus sheets going forward in sets not going to be guaranteed in play boosters, but are in collector boosters, or will it vary? Notably, he says, it will vary set to set. Bonus sheets that are 1 per booster need a bunch of uncommons, and not all themes support that. A bunch of uncommons. Gee whiz, Mark Rosewater. I wonder where I may have seen a bunch of uncommons in a bonus sheet that was not 1 in 1. Yeah, So this is like one of the big reasons why I'm calling it like the Beyond Shitty era, because they definitely have they've started reprinting uncommons, which is perfectly fine. I have no problems with uncommons being in bonus sheets either. I am perfectly okay with that. If they are in 1 in 1. This is 1 in 3, which had a small chance of therefore you not getting a great one, right? Again, 1 in 3, it's not great, but it's not awful. It will get worse before the end of this video. Next, we have the Stellar Sights one. This is a bonus sheet from Edge of Eternities. There's 45 different lands reprinted. However, there was 2 different art styles for those, which brings it up to 2 for each card. And then on top of that, there was Galaxy Foil. So technically, there was 4 different treatments for each one of them, because you had normal, Galaxy Foil, special border, Galaxy Foil. Then they went to 1 in 8. 1 in 8 play boosters will contain one, with at least 1 in each collector booster. Not standard legal, they're only legal in whatever formats they're already legal in. And each of them is a land reprinted and reimagined as if it was being in space. You can see this Thespian stage here being like, you know, the stage from Star Wars Phantom Menace kind of thing. Or was it actually shown in Phantom Menace? I think it was. If not Phantom Menace, then, you know, Attack on the Clones. Notably, only rare and mythic lands were reprinted here, though. So only rare and mythic. So we've gone kind of, you know, we've got 1 in 8. So this has gone down a little bit, 1 in 8. But only rares and mythics reprinted. Not all those rares and mythics are good, though. Notable cards, though, we had Ancient Tomb, we had Gemstone Canvas, we've got Mana Confluence, we've got Strip Mine. All great reprints to see here. All incredible reprints and really, really great cards, especially if you know, play Commander. So, you know, we've got rarer in each play booster, but we've gone kind of backwards, and like we don't have any uncommon lands in here. Let's make it worse. We've got source material. So this is coming from Spider-Man. This is a bonus sheet of 40 cards reprinted with comic book art. This art is pulled directly from the comics or comic book covers, and while its set code is MAR, the first set was very much featured around Spider-Man only, so it's MAR, which is Marvel. Only Spider-Man reprints in here, though. Some are reskinned characters, so it'll be like, you know, some... What was it? There was an octopus that was reskinned to Dr. Octopus, but it's a mix of everything, right? And it does credit the original artist down below, which is great, and I absolutely love this. Now we're going to go even further. We're going to be, you know, basically taking a third of that chance from Edge of Eternities to go down to 1 in 24 play boosters. 1 in 24 play boosters will have one of these, and 1 in each collector booster is guaranteed again. Again, only legal in whatever formats they're already legal in. However, they tag them all as mythic rares. So therefore, every single one of these is just as rare as each other as far as I'm aware. Which, yeah, okay. I think that's okay, because it means the mythics will at least drop more often, but we'll get into the issues with that in a second. As some other stuff to do with that. So notable cards reprinted here. I can't show, you know, the most expensive ones at the moment because the set's not released yet, but, you know, we've got Parallel Life, Mind Break Trap, we've got Heroic Intervention, Opposition Agent, all really great reprints to see in here. You'll also notice the art. The art is again, pulled from the comics and everything, which is absolutely amazing. And then it's got this plain white text, black border around it, white text, black border around it for the for the rules text. Yeah. This is essentially, you know, the same as the Final Fantasy one. They just chuck the white border, chuck the white text, chuck the black border on that white text, boom. And that's all they do. So, again, there was a whole bunch of reprints of uncommons in here. These cards are all either uncommons or commons in previous printings. They're also, a lot of them are not worth, like, you know, very much at all. Which would be okay if it was printed 1 in each play booster, but we've gone down. Keep in mind there's 40 cards in here. That's less than the Final Fantasy one, which, yeah. But we could have had more. There's no reason that there couldn't have been more here, and therefore made it 1 for 1. There is, like, you know, Mark Rosewater's, I'm not going to say excuse, the reasoning that, you know, you have to have a whole bunch of uncommons in here as well is just ridiculous, especially when you compare the fact that there is Shock in here. Shock is literally being reprinted in the Spider-Man set, and they made the fucking gimmick of it already with, we've got Shock, let's show Shocker on it. Ha ha ha. Funny, right? You know, it's Shock and it's showing Shocker. But we had to have a slot taken up on the, like, yeah. The fact that all of them should be just as rare as each other is great, because it means that you are, you know, just as likely to get this Shock as you are to get, you know, one of the actual really good cards. But still, it's just disappointing. All right. And then we go to the Again, it's called source material, this one here, for Avatar The Last Airbender. Just like it, it's got the bonus sheet using cards, using source material, screenshots. There's going to be one for each episode of Avatar The Last Airbender, bringing that up to 61 cards on this bonus sheet. That is a huge bonus sheet. Now, we don't know a huge amount about this yet, like what cards are on or anything like that. You know, this is still a set that's out in the future. However, we do know it's going to be 1 in 26 play boosters. We've gone down 2 more again. So it's 1 in 24. So wait, let's go. 1 in 3 for Final Fantasy, 1 in 8 for Edge of Eternities, 1 in 24 for Spider-Man, now 1 in 26 for Avatar. There's going to be at least 1 in each collector booster though, so yeah, collector boosters. The notable cards, these are notable because they're the only 2 that have been revealed. The Great Henge here as the Banyan Tree, and then Force of Negation. Both great reprints though, great mate. Really great. They also notably have what episode they're from down below, which is good, really good. Now, here is showing our percent chance. This is our percent chance of having a bonus sheet card. Look at us have 100%. I should have potentially added in a second line here for these 2 where it's like a chance. But, you know, we've got 100% up until Modern Horizons 3. And then we drop down for Final Fantasy, right? It's off a cliff. We're going down to like, you know, 20 something, it's 33%. Then we're going down again to down here and then down here to like 4%. It's a 4% chance to get a bonus sheet card with Spider-Man and Avatar with, I'm rounding it, right? I think this just perfectly shows off, especially when you think about the fact that Avatar has 61 cards in the bonus sheet. Mark Rosewater, you cannot tell me that there is not room to have a sheet of uncommons within there. All right, so here's my conclusion. Bonus sheets have gone from this fun gimmick in each booster to now just being a rare, sought after by collectors to force collector booster purchases, because you get them 100% in each collector booster, right? Yeah. I love the idea of bonus sheets, but I also think that the Final Fantasy, the Marvel, and the Avatar ones are just relatively lazy. Here is a quick mock-up, very, very quick mock-up of what I did. I just think that, like, you know, having that border behind it, like a more dynamic text on it, is just amazing. Make it more like a secret lair within them. If you look at the special guests, they already do that. It's amazing. And you're just taking screenshots. Can you not spend more than 2 minutes on the text for it? The picture of it is not my issue. I have no problems with them using screenshots from the Avatar episodes, covers from Marvel comics. I have no problem with them using the concept art. But it's the text that is just the issue. It does not match the vibe at all. It just looks like it was made in Microsoft Word, and it's just a little bit disappointing. And just the percent chance of them dropping as well is just so sad. I do hope we go back to better bonus sheets, and that the quality, especially of the Universes Beyond ones, just increases. You look at that Edge of Eternity one, it's amazing. You look at these ones and it's like, just, oh man, it's just so disappointing. Again, you know, the using the comic book art or the source material is not my issue here. The Universes Beyond is not my issue here. The drop rate of them is my issue, and the laziness, in my opinion, of the slapping text on them is just disappointing as well. So I want to hear from you guys as to what your thoughts are. Have a great day, and goodbye.